To say the guy makes history almost every time he touches the ball these days. LeBron James with his second buzzer-beating game winner of the playoffs so far.
That boy good.
Whew, he goes for
good.
38. We had our second buzzer-beating shot of the day at the end of regulation, one to send a game to overtime, and this one to win it for the Cavaliers. And they, like the Celtics, are up 3-0 in their Eastern Conference semifinal. It's Brendan Haywood right over there. Coach Lionel Hollins. I'm Matt Weiner. Guys, first of all, LeBron, ridiculous. We've talked about that. The real question for me is, how do you not figure out a way to get the ball out of his hands late in the game? Maybe it even comes back to him somehow, but don't you have to take it away if you can?
I thought right off the bat when they were denying him, if Siakam had got more in front of him and not let him beat him to the ball here, he's coming to the ball. And then right there he had a chance to double team. And then after that, it's the legacy of LeBron. I mean, if you go through the history from me, Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, Olajuwon, I've seen them all just make great plays and shots down the stretch, including Michael. And this is LeBron's time.
And once he's got a head of steam in the backcourt, you're almost at his mercy at that point, because aside from fouling him, which you obviously don't want to do, you pretty much are waiting on him to take a shot and see if it falls.
Yeah, when LeBron gets ahead of steam, he's unstoppable, but he has all these trick shots. He has excellent body control. He's able to hit those shots. He works on those shots in practice all the time. So it's not surprising to me to see him hit a shot like that. He's one of the best to ever do it. And he's reminding us all who he is this playoffs. You know, a lot of questions this season about the Cavaliers, how far could they take it. Hey, I was one of the people on record saying I don't think the Cavs can make it to the finals this year. I apologize. Coach, I forgot who LeBron James was. I really did. I really did. Hey, listen, death taxes and a LeBron James team going to the end is making it out of the East are some of the things that we can pretty much count on. And I forgot who LeBron James was. But guess what? Throughout these playoffs, he has thoroughly reminded me of his greatness.
And I said offset when the game was ending. I said they're just going to give it to LeBron. He's going to go down and make a shot and win the game.
Right.
I mean, if you don't get it out of his hand, that's what he's going to do. The Cleveland Cavaliers against Michael, you don't get it out of his hand, that's what he's going to do. It's the same thing with Kobe Bryant. I mean, it's just the greatness of LeBron and his turn to be the greatest of the game, and he's shown it, and he's shown it in these playoffs, he's shown it this season.
LeBron James there with the game winner, and they have a chance now to sweep this series, just like the Celtics. You know the numbers now.
129-0.
Yes, when the team has a 3-0 lead, and they'll have a chance to do that in Game 4 now. It doesn't seem to matter what Toronto tries to do, and we'll get into DeRozan here in a second, but they can't beat Cleveland.
Yeah, right now it doesn't look that way. Coming down the stretch of the season, Toronto had a chance to play Cleveland 2 times, and Cleveland handled them easily. And to me, that was eye-opening. That showed me that maybe this Toronto team wasn't really ready to take on this Cleveland team yet. They weren't ready to basically get past the bully on the block, and that's what we're seeing right now. This Toronto team, they're good. They had a great regular season, but when it comes to the Cavs, maybe it's mental, maybe it's a toughness, maybe it's their stars need to play better. But something isn't working when they see the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's a bad mix when they see those guys.
Well, they've now won 9 straight postseason games against the Raptors, 13 of 14 overall against the Raptors. And Toronto's facing a second straight sweep coming up on Monday night. I don't know what else they can do. Let's get into the DeRozan situation here. 3 of 12 did not play in the fourth quarter. This is your best player. This is your max guy. And you've talked about this before tonight as we were discussing the Ben Simmons situation in Game 2. Sometimes you have to do this, but you can't like doing it.
No.
You're talking about DeMar DeRozan.
And it was a little bit different because Van Fleet was able to come in the game and put pressure on their point guard and force them to use some time. It didn't really help in the end because LeBron kept getting the ball and then going and score. But he was doing something that DeRozan could not have done. And so, you know, that was a strategy, and it kept them in the game, kept it close. But I think that Cleveland just took their heart. I think DeRozan will really be unhappy, and I don't know how he's going to come out and play the next game because, frankly, he's sitting there on the bench. He says, I wasn't given a chance to help my team win. But while he was in there, he really wasn't helping his team, if he wants to be honest about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Toronto was a good defensive team throughout the regular season, only team in the NBA, top 5 offensively and defensively. But it wasn't as glaring in this game, but still Cleveland put up good numbers offensively. They still only turned it over 10 times. That's 19 turnovers in 3 games so far in this series for the Cavaliers. What is it that the Raptors have left to try to slow down the Cavalier team? A Cavalier team, by the way, that had been uneven offensively throughout the season. Basically, if guys weren't hitting three-pointers, this has not been a great offensive team.
I don't think they have anything left to try. They went to a lineup change. They put Serge Ibaka, brought him off the bench, and that worked. Serge Ibaka played his best game of this series. Van Fleet gave this team the ball pressure that they wanted and they needed. But there's not much more they can do. There really isn't. I mean, this team they've tried to do what they've done all year long in game 1 and play their bench and let their bench try to carry them. And that didn't work. They lost that game. Then they tried to make some adjustments in game 2. That didn't work. I don't think they have anything else that they can go to. All they can do is try to really dig deep into the pride bag and try to say, hey, we're going to dig deep and play with as much pride, as much heart as we can. And hopefully that'll be enough. But schematically, there's nothing else Dwayne Casey can do.
I agree there. They've tried everything in their pocketbook. When you think about it, every team has limitations, and the coach knows what those limitations are. So, you can only try things that were within those limitations. And, they try to put C.J. Miles on Love. That doesn't work. They try to put C.J. Miles on LeBron. That doesn't work. They try to put Ibaka out there on somebody that he can't guard, and all the switching couldn't help either.